My name's Chris.
And I'm Kristie.
This is the Washing Up Podcast, and it's Spice Week.
La na 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 na. La 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 la.
Oh, God.
When you're in the bake-off tent.
See, my interesting thing about Spice Up Your Life was I always used to hear there was a really sort of crappy children's TV show on ABC called Bob in a Bottle.
Bob in the bottle.
And I always sing
the Bob in the
Bob in the Bottle theme. So, when you're feeling sad and blue, here's the first thing you should do. Put some pepper under your nose. Sneeze away your worries and woes. Everybody in the world, Bob in the Bottle.
Oh, my God.
You'll never unhear it now.
Thank you for ruining
And
one
for
of my
everybody
favourite
else
songs.
who's never heard of that, you're welcome. So, yes, it is Spice Week. I was very disappointed, actually.
No Spice Girls references.
There was none. I was waiting for it. I was waiting for it. I thought it was there.
Noel just needs to go and go, how many spices are you using in this? 5? Okay, so what is there? Ginger, baby, posh, sporty,
and then
scary.
they can do 4. And where's the ginger? Can't find it.
It's gone solo.
And then all these spice mixes are really good. Oh, what about ginger? We'll try it on its own. It's not quite as good. In fact, none of these are quite as good by themselves. And I can barely notice that posh exists. So yeah, what we did get though, we got an amazing producer joke.
We did. That was fantastic.
We got a brilliant, as Kristie picks a perfect time to yawn.
Yeah.
We got an amazingly good producer joke. What's he like? Don't know. Never met him. So
funny because it's true.
And it was a really good way actually to remind everybody at home that, by the way, 2 people are going home this week.
Yes.
Double elimination. And look, it's also, normally you sit there and go, it's going to be really hard luck for whoever goes home. And then the more you watch this episode,
you're like, there's 2 that are definitely...
It's the most appropriate double episode elimination
Absolutely.
they've ever had. And we'll say straight from the outset, absolutely love Terry.
Oh,
and,
yes.
And Karen is there too. And, don't dislike Karen, but just... She's done a lot of the same thing every week.
Christmas.
But Christmas. Except this week.
Christmas
Except
for
this week.
Karen in Bake-Off Tent.
Yes, it's Christmas. But it was really interesting because this week was the one week she should have done Christmas.
Everywhere. Except this week.
She didn't do any Christmas. This is the week for it.
I mean, she didn't even get the post-Ramadan bickies right because
everybody else did Christmas.
Like Eid is like Muslim Christmas except without Christ. There's still celebration and feasting and
cool
presents.
All the cool stuff. So they did explain very well that 2 people were going to go home, and they did that in a very joking way.
Yeah. But this is another thing we need to... not another thing we have to point out. It's just another point that shows how beautiful Bake Off is compared to any other fucking cooking show. Like, if this was any other cooking show... And don't forget tonight, 2 of you will be going home.
You should leave right now.
Bake Off double elimination.
Did you activate your almonds?
Yeah. Who will go tonight?
Yeah, unlike other TV shows that are currently on at the moment and tanking in the ratings. Anyway.
Being beat by people.
Getting married.
Like fake married, not even real married. The only thing real about them is their beautiful cakes made by Moorish cakes.
And people in the jungle.
Welcome to the jungle. We're F-list celebrities.
Yeah, again, we're getting closer and closer to F-list rowboat. So they explained that 2 people were going to go home. Terry was back, which was good to see Terry.
Guess who's back?
I think that the week off hurt.
Tent.
I think the week off hurt Terry.
Terry's back. Tell a friend. Sorry, it's musical tonight.
Apparently it's a musical.
I'm making it spicy.
Oh, God.
Spicing things up with the musical.
Just a little more spicy. So I think the week off hurt Terry badly.
Yeah, it did.
He seemed out of it from moment 1 of this episode. He never quite got back. What we did get to answer...
Terry, come back.
What we did get to answer in the first challenge, though, we got to answer what Prue's favourite Spice Girl was. Because it was a ginger cake, and therefore she said ginger was her favourite spice. I'm assuming she means Spice Girl.
She's great friends with Jerry Halliwell.
Yeah, I'm assuming she means
Less
Spice.
ginger these days.
Yeah, I'm assuming she means Spice Girl.
Still about the girl power.
Although she did spend a lot of time telling everyone how much she loves ginger, and Robert and myself are thrilled.
Look, ginger is my favourite Spice Girl because she's curvy ginger. Look, I know your favourite is Sporty because she's a Liverpool fan.
Yes.
is from Liverpool.
And can
is-
sing.
Look, the
Her
Spice
job
Girls
was
were
to
really,
carry the tune.
The Spice Girls were really never about the singing.
Her job was to carry the tune.
My favourite performance I've saw of the Spice Girls live, though, was a drag act. And it was at the Albury Hotel in Sydney. And
I'm assuming not the real Spice Girls then.
look, they were real to me.
Still real to Kristie, damn
The
it.
great thing is they all came out and they're dancing on the bar. And anyway, it was around the time Ginger quit. And Ginger Spice, of course, pulls out a little sign that says, I quit, and whacks everyone on the bar so that one walks off.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
So I'm going to quickly run through what versions of the
yeah.
cake everyone made before we get into what actually happened in the challenges. So Bryony this week went with a honey and apricot ginger cake. Dan went with ginger and lemon drip. John went with a family Christmas ginger cake. Did you know he's from Wales?
No.
You wouldn't have known tonight because he didn't actually go
It's
in.
very
He didn't
unambiguous.
go in on Wales tonight. He just kept on mentioning family. Like he has one thing only. It's like John's brain is programmed that there is one topic, and whatever topic he starts with, that's the one he has to continue with.
Well, you know, he's got a lot on his plate. I mean, he's a blood deliverer. He's got so many shirts to choose
He
from.
lives in Wales.
He lives in Wales. He's a sailboat
sailor.
dude. He's a sailor.
He has daughters.
He has daughters.
Kim Joy made a stem ginger cake with poached pears. We'll come back to the pears in a minute. Karen made bonfire night ginger cake. It should have been a Christmas cake. Karen just missed.
You could have made a gingerbread-shaped cake.
We'll talk about gingerbread in a minute too because that
Would it
comes
be?
up.
Anyway.
Manon made Italian meringue ginger cake.
Italian, I think you'll find it's pronounced.
Oh, of course. Sorry, you are the pronunciation queen.
Yes.
Rahul made a bonfire night caramel ginger cake.
So cool,
We'll come
Rahul.
back to that in a minute. Ruby's Jamaican Me Crazy ginger cake.
Sans ginger.
I like the idea that...
But with rum.
I like the idea. Well, that isn't appropriate for a ginger cake from Jamaica. I like the idea that Ruby just called it Caribbean spiced,
Yeah.
and they went no, try again, and she's like Ireland. No, not enough pun. Try it again. Jamaican Me Crazy. That's it.
Now, something I'm sure I've seen in another bake-off is someone made a ginger syrup to soak into a cake, and that would have been delightful, like a ginger beer syrup. Like, imagine something kind of like fizzy.
Oh, that would be really
kind of,
good.
Like, and sticky on your
Well, there's
cake.
another issue with the ginger cakes,
Gingery.
which we'll come to in a minute, which was
Everyone
the
loves a
size
sticky
of the
ginger.
the size of the bloody cakes. And Terry made a caramelised pear and stem ginger cake. Apparently, I say apparently because
Allegedly.
it didn't really resemble any of that.
No.
So when they got into the actual baking itself, my favourite question of the night was when Sandy turned around to Bryony and went, "So you're using honey in your cake, yes? Is it a particular type of honey?" And Bryony's gone, "Yeah, it's honey from bees." At which point Paul at the same time went, "Yeah, it's from bees." So they both just...
As opposed to the honey from...
And you don't want to know. Now that wasn't the Spice Girls. That was Billie Piper.
honey to the bees. You thought that is right. Yep.
Okay, forget Spice
like-
Week. They should have called it Britpop Week.
Oh, we could have had so much. They could have had Atomic Kittens for like fucking Kim Joy.
Think about the pulp.
Just Jarvis Cocker. Jarvis Cocker comes in dressed as Noel Fielding because it's very slight difference. Doing a Noel Fielding impersonation.
No, I've got a bet on that.
Yeah.
He walks in and he just keeps on popping up behind people's benches going, "Park life!" And then that's it. That's the whole episode is just walking around behind people's benches going, "Park life!"
Interesting fact.
Yeah?
He played the lead singer of the Weird Sisters, unnamed, in Harry Potter the Goblet of Fire. Just
Awesome. I did that.
Yeah.
I thought I saw him.
Yeah, and it's them and some of the members of Radiohead.
So you've got-
Pulp and Radiohead.
So you've got
It's
Pulp.
Rolp.
You've got Pulp in there with Jarvis Cocker
Rolp.
just looking like Noel Fielding.
Yeah.
You've got Blur in there yelling "Park Life." We've got the Spice Girls running around with Ginger being missing.
Yeah.
This was a week.
Yeah, Robbie
None
Williams.
of it happened. Robbie Williams coked in the corner.
Letting him entertain you.
All coked in the corner, and Gary Barlow in the corner rocking back and forward quietly going, "Don't worry, it'll all work out for me in the end."
Danny Minogue trying to convince people
That she's British. Now,
I'm sorry, Danny, you need to leave the tent, but I'm British.
we got a bit more as well.
So are my boobs. I bought them here.
We got a bit more as well of an
And my lip
insight.
filler.
We got a bit more of an insight into Rahul this week as well. And every time Rahul speaks, I wonder what has happened in his background. Like, he said, I was talking to my mum about the idea of a ginger cake.
Yeah.
And she just on the phone to me said, why would you put ginger in a cake? You wouldn't. It doesn't go in a cake.
Oh, I hope it's not his mum.
And then he said later on, well, that's what he said later on. He said, it was really good. That was when he got the handshake. And he goes, it was really good. I think I might send my mum the recipe.
Oh, like his mum.
I don't think it's necessarily that. But you just get the feel. I've never seen anyone so gifted who has absolutely zero self-confidence.
Yeah.
He doesn't believe that anything he's doing is brilliant.
Oh, Rahul.
It's all brilliant.
Yeah.
One thing that I learned tonight, ginger cake looks very unappealing when it's raw.
Look, it does look like you've been out in the terps all night and maybe had a dodgy curry.
It looks like the end of a very long night.
Yeah, it's not pleasant. I think I've changed a few nappies that have looked like that too. Emptied a few colostomy bags.
In your time. She was a nurse.
Oh, no, I just go around doing it.
We're not just talking about people knocking on the door and go, hi, you got a colostomy bag I can empty? I miss it. I just want more of it.
I just go around looking for people with stomas, seeing if I can help. It's okay.
The other problem with ginger cake, of course, is it's very hard to work out when it's done because it's already dark.
Well, it was like when Andre had the issue with the chocolate.
Yeah, it's really dark to start with. I can't tell. Now, Dan had an intriguing week this week. He did mention the curse of the Star Baker, and he had a little bit of that, and also something that I'm worried is going to come back to haunt him, which we'll get to in the final challenge.
Prue Leith's corpse, because she's
away
dying.
What I think is going to come back to haunt him is telling Paul that he thought the challenge was crap.
I'm surprised they kept that in, but
no, because it was great. Because Paul looked at him and went, what? But in terms of Dan in this challenge, he had the disaster of disasters in the first challenge. He split the batter.
He could have said it was a ginger cheesecake.
Yeah, but the weird part was, now everyone who's watched Bake Off knows if you fuck up a cake like that,
just redo it.
Ditch it and redo it. He stood there and agonised and looked to the sky and put his hands in the air and was umming and ahhing. No.
Waved him like he just didn't care.
Tip it out. Go again. He also said at the time, these are going to be really deep cakes.
Why?
Yeah, you got to cool them down. So this is where he turned around to Noel and he went, I'm a hot mess. And Noel decided that he would chip in with some advice. And this was great because tonight Noel spent a lot of time admitting
he has no idea what he's talking about.
I don't know anything about baking. I have zero idea what I say. I just say it. And Noel's advice...
He's just vibing.
Well, Noel's advice was, what sort of milk is it? I mean, is it breast milk? That, by the way, could have been the moment you decided to drink on the Mighty Boosh, but there were so many others. Meanwhile, Mime Terry started singing to his bake, which was lovely.
You say he looked like a mime. I thought he looked like Captain Hook's first mate from Peter Pan.
A little bit. All I kept on thinking, he was Smee.
Smee, that's it.
Don't try to stop me this time, Smee. Don't try to stop me this time, Smee. Smee, try and stop me. But what I really see, all I could think about then was one of the jokes going around, the viral jokes going around the internet, which was if you could be invisible for 24 hours, what would you do? And the joke, you're laughing because I think you heard it. The joke was, I'd go to France, I'd find one of those street corner mimes, and I would beat him to death. Because think of the standing ovation he's going to get for the mime.
Look, mime is a terrible thing to waste, so don't kill them.
Maim him a little bit. Maim the mime. New game show. Welcome to Maim the Mime. Channel 9, don't take
Maim that mime. Now, Ian Turpie at the wheel.
Poor Terps. R.I.P.
Is he dead?
Yeah, he is. But who should be? Tony Barber.
He would be awesome.
He come racing down the stairs.
Grand Denia.
Now, I hope Tony Barber... it's got to be Tony Barber. And the reason it has to be Tony Barber is he needs to sell more copies of his infamous autobiography titled Who Am I? With a reflective black and white pose on it. Again, people in the UK, you got no idea what we're talking about. No. So we'll just move on. Terry and Kim Joy used the cursed Canadian ingredient. Pears. And in Terry's case, maybe that curse came true.
Look, the curse can only land on one person at a time. Kim Joy was skirting it, but luckily...
Kim Joy decided to balance that out by making a gingerbread house. Because, of course...
Why the fuck not?
Why not? It's not like you've just made a ginger cake. Make a gingerbread house to go with it.
Look, her and Manon were both doing a little bit... Going a little flora.
They were very flora.
Because I'm sure it was Manon who was making the meringue.
Manon made a bunch of extra stuff as well.
Yeah. It's either her or Ruby. My brain's gone a bit
Kim
scattered.
Joy was making hers a whole scene. And I did question her judgment a little bit when she said there's pears in the background and they're kind of like trees. They sort of are, in that they are some form of plant-based thing. But then again, when I'm questioning her judgment, she's the one who did the cat wedding and the cat cake with the cats and the cat wedding and the cat everythings and yeah.
And to a cat, pear looks like a tree.
Now, I love I love when Noel walked over and had a look at the gingerbread house.
I've got our cat Polly here. I'll just ask her, see what she says. Hey, Paul.
Yeah, just get on the podcast.
Polly, sorry to interrupt your cleaning. Does a pear look like a tree to you?
No comment.
No comment.
Okay.
Yeah, controversial.
Oh, if she talks, we've got to pay her podcast rates.
Yeah, this isn't Leo. Leo will work for fucking schmackos.
Yeah, Leo works for free. I love that Noel walked over to Kim Joy's gingerbread house. Where's that Sandy's house?
I particularly liked Noel's shirt tonight. Like, it's just a beautiful shade of green.
There was a moment where I was just typing up some notes and I looked up, and as I looked up, he just looked at the screen with Noel and went, "You're looking damn good."
Yeah. Mighty fine. Mighty fine
boosh, yes. Then everybody needed the freezer. Now, I asked Robert on Twitter, I asked everyone's favourite tall ginger baker.
Brother from another mother.
My brother from another mother, yes, Robert. I asked Robert, is it realistically with this challenge enough time to cool the cakes down? Because I'm looking at it and everyone had to use the freezer.
As a non-baker, I would say no. It's fucking not.
I went, no chance. And I asked Robert, and Robert's response was no. There's the case, that's a case if you make thinner layers and use the freezer, which is why I thought what Dan did was so stupid.
But Rahul did that. You saw he had the three smaller layers.
Smaller layers. Clever.
Smart man, Rahul.
Robert's follow-up to that was, my first bake-off cake was still hot and steaming in the middle 45 minutes later when they cut it.
That's what she said.
That is what she said.
Imagine serving something up hot and steamy to Maggie B, though. Hi, Maggie. Got something a little hot and steamy here for you. And she'd be like, ooh.
The problem was that
take a bite of it.
Terry's in particular was...
Let me get that in my mouth.
But Terry sort of broke that mold because Terry's in particular wasn't that deep and it wasn't that big.
That's also what she said.
That is what she said. But
Maggie B would go, I'm going to put something hot and steamy. So Maggie B has had something hot and steamy of Robert's in her mouth.
Oh dear. Anyway, so Terry's was still hot, right?
Yes.
But it wasn't one of the Dan's ridiculously large cake. It was small. But that's the sort of job that he did this week, and it had melted upon itself, and it looked a little bit to me like what Terry might have thrown up last week.
That, or to me, it also looks like, you know, when there was that bloody... American food show where they went around doing all different kinds of hamburgers. And it was the one where they steamed the hamburger with cheese on it. The steamed hams.
Steamed hams, yes.
It looks like that, but browner.
What browner? So it was actually very brown.
Yeah.
So the judging, John's, they said, was concise. It's not what you really want to hear in a cake. In a story, maybe. In a book, possibly. In a cake, nah.
No.
And a little claggy. Again, you want to hear that in your glue. Not so much in your ginger cakes.
No.
They said the flavour was great when you hit it. And it's a bit worrying when they say the flavour's great when you hit it.
There really is no good place, apart from the glue, where the texture of claggy is good.
No, you can't really find it.
No. If you know of something that's good claggy, let me know. But
people are going to respond. Karen, they said, it was a hard cake. That's not what you want.
Karen is a hard cake.
And then we had something that could have been a bit of a foreshadowing. Because then they said, oh, Karen, there's way too much booze in that. And then Noel went, I never thought I'd ever hear Prue say that, to which Prue went, I never thought I'd say that either. I'm starting to wonder if maybe Prue's missing she was alcohol poisoned.
She'd gone to get her stomach pumped.
Yeah, she'd gone off. She wasn't coping. Ruby had rum in her cake, which they said was good, but unfortunately for a ginger cake,
didn't taste like ginger.
There was no ginger. It was a rum.
If it was a rum challenge, different story.
Definitely. Now, Rahul's, they said he had good flavour and good texture, and he got the first handshake of the day. And when he got the handshake, Paul just looked at him and went, "You're a little genius, you are."
Yeah.
That's kind of appropriate. And then Paul walks away and goes, "Quite annoying, really." And that became a theme too, because later on when Ruby walked over, looked at his chandelier and went, "That's really annoying. You're really good."
I loved his chandelier so hard.
So good. So Bryony, it was dry and sweet, that's an effort. And it was overwhelmed by apricots. And Paul went, "I don't know if the apricot and ginger went together." Terry's was a mess. And Paul, the best he could do was say the phrase, "interesting texture."
Yeah.
And he does it later on with Bryony, and you can't tell if it's good or bad with her, but you could tell with Terry's.
Yeah.
Kim Joy, the detail was really good. And they said it was the most beautifully textured cake. There was a nice warmth. And Kim Joy got the most stunned handshake ever. Paul puts his hand out, and Kim Joy looks at it smiling. And there's like, "Oh, I have to shake that, don't I?" Oh!
I'm also getting distracted here. Okay, so confession time. I've kind of condo-washing. Like, it's not quite the full Con Marie method. It's kind of like a Con Kristie method, really. So there's like boxes around with all things like organised, because I'm still doing my miscellaneous thing. And the cats have decided tonight, while we're doing our podcast, it's the perfect time to try and sit in boxes and the paper bag that I've got out. So instead of the nice quiet boxes that are around, they've really decided that this paper bag is the choice, but it's full of stuff, so they can't quite get into it.
It's the one full of Christmas
crystals.
decorations and crystals. And
that's crystals.
That's
Crystals.
Crystals. I don't know. I'm not doing your.
No, the Christmas box has all the Christmas decorations in it now.
Oh, they're not getting in that. They're getting in the one with the crystals, so it's jangling. It's great.
Yeah.
So back to this. Dan. Now Dan's was very early 90s R&B. This was for his homies. He'll see you when he gets there. He'll see you when you get there with that gangster lean. Gangster lean. Or in this case, that ginger cake lean. And once again, it was more condensed as you go down. Not what you want to hear. Manon's was elegant. Very rich colour inside. The ginger and the lemon was good, and the sponge was soft. Paul said it's the best ginger cake he's had in a very long time. She got a handshake and a Prue pat.
Everyone wants a pat.
Maybe
pat. That's the thing, okay? They've introduced this new currency, right? So
now let's bring up the handshake, because...
Yeah, because a lot of people are thinking handshakes are being given out willy-nilly, right? Perhaps we're looking at an economy of scarcity. Perhaps more handshakes were deserved in the past, but weren't given.
I would suggest that Paul's been a bit of a prick in previous series, and in this series they wanted a little bit more encouragement.
Yeah.
And he's lightened up. You can noticeably see, and I think that I was reading a couple of things as well the other day about the hosting, and they said that Paul has really naturally sort of come into his own with his comedy timing.
Yes.
With having Sandy and Noel there to feed off.
Yeah.
Because I was talking about the way they put it together, and I was saying that Noel and Sandy actually write all their own stuff, then go back to production and go, "This is what we want to do." Mm-hmm. And production gives them the yay or nay and says it's either that's funny or that's not really that funny. Oh,
man, if I was in production, I'd just be like, yes, do it!
As Noel said at one point...
Unlimited budget!
As Noel said at one point in the article I read, he said, we improv a hell of a lot in there, and we riff off each other, and Sandy and I work off it, and you can't riff too much, though, because you'll end up getting in a fridge. It's kind of true.
And we've all seen Punky Brewster, and we know it's a bad idea.
The more you know.
Yeah.
Now, a very special episode of Punky Brewster.
Yeah.
Paul also said that it reminded him of his nan's cake, which is always high praise indeed.
Yeah.
Now,
do you think the Prue pat is now... How many handshakes do you think that's worth?
One Prue pat is worth 7 handshakes.
Wow.
I think it's that high a ratio.
There we go.
A Prue pat is 7 handshakes.
And do you reckon, like, a Mary Berry wink has to be less than a handshake? or
No,
on
it's the
par?
It's the highest thing you can get.
So how many?
And I know that she gives out a fair few of them. But what you need to do is you need to accrue many of them over the weeks to make it really worth the value overall. So they are rare because you've actually got to combine them.
Is that then? How many Mary Berry winks become a full Mary Berry then?
A full Mary Berry?
Yeah.
It's 10 winks to a full Mary Berry.
Whoa. Okay, so a full Mary Berry.
Did you not get the conversion chart?
No, that's why I'm asking you. So the full Mary Berry, how many Prue Pats is a full Mary Berry?
How many Prue Pats to a full Mary Berry? Hang on a minute, let me just check out my table here. It is 6.5 Prue Pats to a Mary Berry.
Wow, so a Prue Pat is worth just over a Mary Berry wink, but not as much as a full Mary Berry. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very complex schedule they've got on.
Can you accrue enough Prue Pats to get a full Mary Berry, or do you actually need to get the wink?
No, the currencies aren't interchangeable.
Okay.
Right? The currencies, it's a bit like when Australia moved over to decimal currency from pounds. Right? They're not interchangeable.
On the 6th of the 666?
14th of February 1966.
Why didn't they do the 6th of the 660?
No, we've been too evil. Anyway,
devil
but
time.
when we're talking about value, there's only one thing that we really need to know about.
Oh.
And that's the value of Australian Sugarcraft magazine.
It is, how many Mary Berry winks? I don't know, how many full Mary Berries do you reckon it's worth?
How many full Mary Berries? If we do it as a ratio of one Mary Berry wink equals an Australian dollar,
yes,
then it's 19 Mary Berry winks, 0.9.
Ah, there we go.
19.9 Mary Berry winks. Because for only $19.90, you can get Australian Sugarcraft magazine.
Subscribe for a full 12 months.
It's digital. It's got colour pictures. It's got tutorials. You can learn how to do sugar and or craft. I believe that's how it works. It is step by step.
You can either, learn how to make some toffee or put together a really cool macaroni necklace.
Note, macaroni necklaces not included. And much like our general pop theme, although we had more of a Britpop theme going on, there's a step-by-step guide.
Step by step.
Ooh, baby. So subscribe to it now.
And to subscribe, you need to go to their Facebook page.
You need to go to www.facebook.com/Australian Sugarcraft. That is www.facebook.com/Australian Sugarcraft.
And I'm sure that we'll see, in one of their future editions is possibly vagina sphere cakes, because
that was popular last week.
Yeah, vagina sphere cakes is totes happening. It's got to happen.
Not for nothing, but the weirdest bit of feedback I've ever received on this show was my mother saying that was gold. Hi, Mum. I know she's listening.
Hi, Glenda. Maybe we can get matching vagina sphere cakes. Just, a little bit of mother-in-law and daughter-in-law bonding.
And we're done. So, that was the
We
weirdest
could make each other a vagina sphere cake.
Anyway, moving on.
I'll vajazzle yours. Some diamond.
So what I'm actually hoping for is not that in there. I don't think the vagina sphere cakes are going to be their thing. What I do think will be their thing, though, is they could make the entire Britpop scene of the 1990s in sugarwork. Think about it.
Oh my God. It would be like a Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club band.
Okay.
Cover.
Challenge to Australian Sugarcraft magazine. We want a Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club band style 90s Britpop edition.
Fuck yeah. Because you know what it would be? All right, everything's gonna be all right.
All right.
And whatever
really
we say, whatever we do,
they really mean it. How many animals are going to be in there?
How many?
There's going to be one love. There's going to be one dog. Everybody in the house of love. Hey, so let's get to the technical, shall we? Because the technical is possibly one of the greatest technicals they've ever come up with. Absolutely brilliant technical. So it's mamul. So mamul is a snack that is traditionally eaten at the conclusion of Ramadan.
Yes. Not what you originally thought, which was middle-aged man in lycra.
Yeah, middle-aged man in lycra, which is really the plague of the Australian landscape. Or mammals, indeed, mainly Australian-based animals.
No, that's marsupials. Mammals are everywhere. We're mammals.
I know we're mammals.
Whales are mammals.
I know. Wales?
Yeah.
You know John's from Wales?
No, really?
Didn't know. No, he didn't mention it. He didn't mention it. I believe though. I've heard it in previous episodes somewhere. But more importantly, the other form of mammal, the middle-aged male in lycra, typified by our former Prime Minister, who likes to go around the countryside in lycra and tell everybody that global warming's not real. Anyway, moving on,
and eating onions.
So we don't have to talk about the onion eater. So that sounds like the weirdest insult ever, doesn't it? You onion eater! So we got into this challenge and nobody had heard of it. And when I say that nobody had heard of it, Prue didn't know anything about it.
Okay, let's just clarify this. White people have never heard of it. You know what I mean? Like, it's...
But even, like, for example, but I'm talking about in the shed. In the tent. Because Rahul didn't even know what it was.
Yeah, but he's from India. He's not Middle Eastern.
No, but again, there is a population in there that is a fairly sizable Islamic population.
Oh, duh.
It's mostly Hindu, but there is a large Islamic population.
Yeah, but I'm presuming it's also like central. Like it's like from a specific area. It's like how the Swiss have different Christmas tradition to the British.
A little bit. You can't tell I do India as a study. Like
if we look at Krampus, very different to what goes on.
Oh, vastly different to what goes on.
In, say, Germany.
Oh, no.
Germany. Krampus is German.
Krampus is different to Germany, people. Anyway, moving on. So when we get into it...
Leo isn't.
No, Leo's not tired. Leo's just waking up.
Yeah.
So no one in there really knew what it was. Prue didn't know what it was. And Noel turned around at one point and went, I've never known less about what I'm saying than while I'm saying this.
Get your little tongs.
And you've even got to use these special tongs. And then Noel goes, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I've never heard of it. Now, the dough itself... they actually gave them a lot of instructions on the dough, which was good. It used ghee. Ghee, baby, 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 ghee, baby.
K-pop. They need to do a K-pop week.
That's next week. Forget pastry, it's K-pop next week. We're going to go all around the world in musical styles and food. So what was more challenging was, as you got towards the end of it, there were no quantities given for the latter bits, and rose water was on the bench.
Ooh, yeah, this is very dangerous. I mean... what I loved about this challenge is that it's a technical that's unfamiliar to everyone there, so it really comes down to people having a good understanding of how to mix these flavours and, just using their instincts. Loved it.
It was fascinating in terms of they didn't know what was happening. They didn't know how to go about a lot of this. They were completely blind. Like, everything they showed was Sandy or Noel walking around going... I said to Sandy, what do these look like? Sandy goes, I don't know, I'm looking forward to finding out. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do. Then she walks over to Terry and goes, I know what I want. Ancient pastry from the Middle East. That's the job for me.
They missed a trick. They could have gone, I know what I want, what I really, really want.
So tell me what you want, what you really, really want.
I want an ancient pastry from the Middle East.
Now, what was interesting, though, was, and poor Terry found this out the hard way, because ghee was being used, if you handle the dough for too long, the ghee warms up. Yeah. Which means it just disintegrates in front of you.
He geed all over himself.
And when he put his biscuits up,
Terry, what are you doing at your bench? I'm geeing all over myself.
When he put his biscuits up, they were like...
I found the ghee spot.
They were way too hot, weren't they? And he goes, yeah, they were way too hot in the oven, and I think the ghee just melted and disintegrated. The other interesting part of this one was, there's no other way to put it. Karen did them in the wrong order. She did the round ones flat and the flat ones round.
Yeah.
So the pace were...
And you can't undo that.
No, you can't. And that's what she was like, that's it. So John's split, they said his bake actually looked quite good, but the flavours were too strong and too potent. Also, the date ones were deflated.
No one likes a deflated date.
That's what she said.
You go out on a date.
So it was deflated but too strong.
Deflated.
Yeah. Early dating life.
Things were heating up and they're just deflated.
Bryony, they said there was the little decoration on them, but the pastry was very good.
Yeah.
Terry, the first thing they said was serious problems. They said it was too hot, sort of disintegrated, but they said the flavour was nice.
Oh.
Manon, no pattern, and the filling was not very good either. Rahul, they just said very good because it's Rahul. Karen's were in the wrong shapes. They were overbaked and they were dry. And again, especially if you've got a date and a walnut filling, a really dry paste. No. Kim Joy's were really neat and the flavours were very good.
Yeah.
Dan didn't have a shape on top of his, but the pastry and the filling were excellent.
Yep.
And Ruby's, the flavour and the pastry were both great. So in the technical, Karen came 9th, Terry came 8th, John came 7th, Bryony came 6th, Manon was 5th, Kim Joy was 4th, 3rd was Rahul, 2nd was Dan, and 1st, surprisingly by her standards, because she was shocked,
Ruby.
She kind of went all Harry Potter. She produced the glasses this week and got very studious. It was studious Ruby this week. It was like at one point when Noel walked over during one of her bakes, and the only bit of Noel and Ruby we really got this week, and it is my favourite show on television, Noel and Ruby, was when Noel went over and she looked at, did you just steal part of my... No. You sure? Yes. And he's like eating quite clearly something off her thing. So they got to there, and it was interesting because there was a very open and honest sort of conversation at the end of it where there was just a look on Karen's face like, well, she said, I've really got to do that again and pull that last bake out.
Yeah.
And Terry kind of had a look like, yeah, this is not on.
Yeah, I should have just stayed sick.
Now, Prue was off for the showstopper. Possibly alcohol poisoning from V1. Or possibly the virus that's going around.
Terry, she caught too much Christmas.
Maybe she's too festive. Too festive. I loved Paul's comment, I've got the constitution of a rhino.
He's got your constitution.
He does. But I kind of said to you during this part of the episode, I went, I wonder if they were more okay with Prue having the day off, because it became very painfully obvious. Exactly who was going home. There was no chance that, unless there was a major disaster, that it was going to be anybody but those two. So it would have taken something out of the ordinary, really, for anyone else to go home at this point.
Essentially, not the Prue.
Which Karen, Prue, wasn't there? Yeah.
Karen needed to produce an actual chandelier,
with working lights.
With working lights made of the biscuit equivalent of diamonds, which I presume are Tim Tams.
That is definitely the biscuit equivalent.
Just massive.
It's definitely the biscuit. It's definitely the biscuit equivalent of that would be Tim Tams. But remember, Rahul's at least had glass in them.
Yes.
In sugar form.
Oh, it looks
maybe
so pretty.
You know why you got sugar?
Sugarcraft magazine.
Strange Sugarcraft magazine.
Sugarcraft.
So what his was at least, light up, sort of.
Yeah.
I don't really think it mattered what Terry or Karen produced.
No.
I think it mattered that nobody else's fell apart. I think that if somebody else, and even then, I think it would have needed to be they just had one biscuit on a string.
Yes.
The sad biscuit on a string, just hanging by itself.
Just one puppet biscuit on a string.
Boom, 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 boom.
I wonder what this biscuit is made of today. Has it got enough spice?
Anyway,
sorry.
I'm not going to keep going boom. I need to stop going boom.
Eurovision teaser there.
Hashtag Bo Shepherd. Anyway, I'll quickly run through what everyone made and then we'll go through it again. So Bryony went with a turmeric latte chandelier. Sounds like Newtown.
It's an anti-inflammatory latte.
And I like that later on when they went, can you get it off your hands? And she went, no. I saw my mother and she looked at my hands and she went, are you sick? And she, no, it's turmeric.
Haven't suddenly got jaundice.
Dan went with a birthday kaleidoscope for Constance, and we'll come back to that because that was pretty. John went with a birthday chandelier for Emily's 21st.
Well, we know which dad loves his daughter more.
Yeah, we really do. Karen went with the Pontefract Girls' School reunion.
Apparently they have brown undies.
Yeah.
Paul did pose, is it because of all the licorice consumed?
That was a question, yes. Kim Joy made the Christmas spiced iced chandelier, and we'll come back to her design because, my God, it was amazing. Manon's, I loved the Art Deco theme.
That was
I'm a
really
sucker
good.
for a good Art Deco.
If she'd have just gotten the bloody flavouring right, it would have been a killer. Or killer,
now,
no
recall-
filler. Although was almost a literal killer, because like fucking biscuits are
When it
falling off
fell
that
on the end.
thing. It's like, die, Paul, die.
Rahul went with the Durga Puja cardamom chandelier.
Which I loved because he's like, it's going to the big creator goddess. And I'm like,
Yes.
I'm all about biscuits for goddesses.
Now, Ruby
that
made
is one hell of a cake scenario.
Ruby made a peacock.
Yeah.
Now, Brandon on Twitter brought up that he's a bit sick of peacocks and thinks that everyone's copying Nadia. I don't necessarily agree. I think peacocks have done a lot because they're bright and colourful, but I don't think it's about that because I think that this was done well enough.
Look, I get it, right? I love peacocks. I love seeing them, but I also see Brandon's point. There is a lot of birds out there. Like
nobody else complains when fucking Yuzu turns up, but I do it and suddenly I'm whinging and whining. And everyone else goes, there's too many peacocks.
Look, let's think about that. You could do a pheasant-themed one. Toucan. Toucans are bright and colourful. I mean, they're mostly black and white with a colourful beak.
You've got to make them out of Fruit Loops.
A macaw.
Got to make them out of Fruit Loops.
A macaw. A dodo. It could go extinct. They're like, what does it look like? It's a dodo.
If it doesn't
do you know
work,
what colour it is? No, because I've only seen black and white pics of it. So it could be any colour. Any colour of the dodo. It could be fuchsia. Who knows?
Fuchsia dodo.
What about a wuthering tit? I presume those exist.
It does now.
What about Pilcher's finch?
Get behind my wuthering tit.
He just wears red and dances around.
Spins around.
On a moors.
And Terry made the 12 Days of Christmas chandelier. Well, he attempted. We'll come to what happened with his maids and milking. Yeah, I know.
He could have gone with Noel. The breast milk.
Yeah, you know what?
That's how you milk
Now,
your
Paul
maid.
started off by saying...
Okay.
He was talking about structure and design. And he said, I've seen a lot of things out of biscuits in my time. I've seen the Colosseum made of biscuits. And to me, that just sounded like the most disappointing travel blog ever.
Couldn't get to Rome, but we got to the local show and there was a Colosseum of biscuits.
I've seen Stonehenge made of toffee apples. I've seen...
That'd be more like iced Vovos.
I've seen Uluru made from a Madeleine.
It's a good one.
It's a good one.
Big Madeleine. Big Uluru.
Big Uluru Madeleine.
Yeah. Don't walk on it. Sacred Madeleine.
Sacred Madeleines. Solid biscuit standing on Sacred Madeleine.
Biscuit. Madeleine. That's it. Yep.
So, yeah, John, I'm actually sure that John avoided just the drinking game. I'm pretty sure that's why he went family. He's like, fuck you, I'm not doing Wales.
He's like, I know there's going to be these two smart-ass Australians watching this.
In a couple of months' time.
Down.
Yeah.
There's always talking about Wales. Well, I'll show you, you dumbasses.
And I also like the idea that people who did Christmas did it not because they wanted to do Christmas, but they wanted to troll Karen. Because she didn't think of it.
No.
I like the idea that maybe... I actually like the idea that Karen was sent home and told, do not do Christmas again, and then they sent her the thing saying spice.
No, I just like to think that Karen's gone home vagued out and she's sitting there surrounded by her, like, Christmas trains chewing around and, like...
Carrying little spice biscuits.
And she's like, a festive, spiced, themed chandelier.
She took another
What am I going to do?
She took another bite of her already installed gingerbread chandelier above her.
She's like, what will I do?
I don't know what I'm going to do.
You know, there's like Christmas cake sconces.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. And she's looking around at all the spices around her going, I got nothing. Dan, as I said before, then took on the challenge.
She's icing sugar cookies.
Dan then took on the challenge, literally, and turned around to Paul and he goes, it's a ridiculous idea. I looked it up online and what do you find, Paul? Nothing. You know why, Dan? I can explain to you why you can't, because you know what this challenge actually is.
No?
It's not a chandelier.
What is it?
It's a hanging biscuit diorama. It's one of those hanging biscuit mobiles. What? So we've seen biscuit dioramas before, and they do the hanging biscuit dioramas from time to time. They do exist.
Okay.
And it's not actually a chandelier. It just sounds more fancy when you call it a chandelier, not diorama, or not a hanging biscuit sort of...
I wonder what chandelier actually means. Like, what are the root words? Like, is it shand as to, like... put soda into your beer.
It's leery alcohol. Apparently.
Yeah,
there you go.
It's like what soda down alcohol that just is a bit of a voyeur, a bit of a dirty voyeur soda alcohol, and that's a chandelier.
There we go. We've ruined that for everyone.
Entomology.
Now
Here on the podcast.
Now it looked like Terry's illness had impacted his dough.
Yeah.
It was very sweaty. It was very sweaty. It was very runny. And then we got one.
You know what? In the green room, Terry's staring at himself in a hoodie.
Knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on his sweater already. Terry's dough.
Terry's spaghetti.
Terry's spaghetti. I love when he turned around and they said, "Oh, you're making biscuits, are you? Yep, you're making the 12 days of Christmas, are you? Yep, where are you up to? I'm down to my maids of milking.
I've only got one shot. Do not give it up. Got to milk my maids."
And then Ruby talked about hers with chocolate, and she had chocolate to wedge hers together, and Paul's like,
"It's hot.
You know that it's going to melt." And she's like, "But I hung it up overnight at home." And like, "Where'd you hang it?" And Noel went, "The freezer."
In my nice air-conditioned house, it did not melt.
Lesson for everybody out there is, especially in the tent, it just seems like the temperature is about 20 degrees hotter than anything else.
It's essentially a
sauna.
microcosm of climate change.
It is. It's a sauna. And so
soon we won't be able to have bake-off because it will just be too hot.
Too hot to do bake-off. That's the world I don't want to live in.
No.
Now, Rahul. Rahul gets them over to the bench and they go, "So how many biscuits are you making?" And he goes,
150.
150. I'm crazy. And then they looked at him and didn't say anything. And he goes, "Yeah, no, 150." And then went, "Yeah, I know. I'm crazy.
But guess which motherfucker pulled it off?
Rahul.
Yeah.
Noel then did one of the most flawless Prue impressions I think we've ever seen. Mm-hmm. Granted, it's the only Prue impression we've ever seen, but it was flawless.
Oh, I loved it. Came over. I'm sure he borrowed Michelle,
yeah.
Karen's glasses, because Michelle is the Maggie Beer of Australia.
Michelle's the Maggie Beer of Australia. Noel is now
the Prue of England.
But I think he did. I think he borrowed
and a little
and a cardi.
Vest. That was quite cute.
And a cardi. The butterflies that Dan made.
Oh, so pretty.
The colour and the vibrancy. Now, the problem was Paul said to him at the time that I'm worried about the icing because the apple flavouring is always either too weak or too strong.
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, I'm going to make it artificial. I'm going to jazz it up a bit." And when they get to the testing later on, Paul's comment was the icing overpowers that I couldn't actually taste the spice in the biscuit.
Yeah.
But they looked amazing. Kim Joy's piping. The little diorama scene she could do on those biscuits.
We need to spend some time on this. So it started off, her concept was beautiful. The cookie cutters she was using, like those snowflake cookie cutters, and it just looks so intricate. And then the bakes come out, and then you start to see the piping of the little houses.
It was unbelievable.
On a hillside, little houses
on the hillside, little houses made of royal icing.
Yeah.
No, her skill, and as Paul said a few times in this series, and he said it once earlier tonight, the attention to detail that Kim Joy puts into everything.
Yeah.
It's
all effortless.
Yeah.
Like, her and Rahul both make things look effortless. Unfortunately tonight, Rahul's just missed a bit of
It was very minor though.
It was good refinement. It wasn't quite refined. It still
but as Paul
gorgeous.
said, you did make 150 biscuits. So that comes
just
into
a bit of the piping. But fuck Kim Joy. Oh my God.
And at this point of the challenge, all my notes say is Terry and Karen are in trouble, and they are tunnelling further.
Have we reached the core of the earth yet? No, keep digging.
They forgot Mo Sislak's piece of advice. Dig up stupid. And unfortunately, they just kept tunneling. And Terry and Karen both knew. Yes. About halfway through this challenge, you could just see both of them going, "It's done."
Now, something we haven't mentioned, which was Bryony's delightful comment about her dangly bits.
Yes, Bryony talking about her dangly bits was lovely. It was wonderful. It was unique.
Are you going to hang your dangly bits?
What are you hanging your dangly bits on, Bryony? Yeah. So now came the structure.
Yes.
Structure's always the fun bit. But just as we're getting ready to
Not
do
as
that...
fun as the dangly bits.
But just as we're getting ready to do that, Terry turns around and goes, "All my maids are milked."
Which challenge was it that Noel was mentioned breast milk?
It was the first one.
Well, the first one. So,
and then in this one, he goes, and Sandy comes over to him in this one, and she goes, "How are you going?" He goes, "Well, there we go, all my maids are milked." He then started dropping his maids.
I know.
And at the same time, he decapitated a turtle dove.
It didn't lend itself to, like, you couldn't have that. Humane Association of the USA little thing that come up at the end. That I always think looks like an emu, but it's actually an elephant.
Yeah, no. I like the way he went, there's 8 maids of milking, and he dropped one. He goes, 7 maids of milking.
6 maids of milking. 5 maids of milking.
4.5 maids of milking. 3 1/4 maids of milking. 1/3 of a maid. No real milking happening here. And then Biscuit started falling apart. John, his started to collapse. Then Ruby tried to push hers together. Funnily enough, what Paul said about the chocolate happened. They didn't work.
So she didn't use it in the end.
Yeah, in the end she just bailed on it. Then when they called time, Ruby turned around to Rahul, walked over, looked at it, and went, "You're so annoyingly good."
I hope that John's daughter's 21st is inversely proportioned to how good his biscuit chandelier was for her, because it was quite tragic.
You know what he did? You know when he made it for her birthday, though?
What?
Giant Wales cake. Welsh dragon.
Big Welsh dragon, life size.
Company just written on it, that's it. All right, so the judging. Mannins, they said it looked amazing.
Yeah.
And it did. Detail was really good. Then it all literally started falling onto Paul's plate, which was, don't know if it was a design feature, served itself.
It was assassination chandelier.
It was serving itself. Because if you look, he took the first biscuit off and he's trying to talk long-winded, and one just falls off onto the plate and separates in half perfectly, like Paul would have broken it for the snap. So it was like the chandelier's just like, oh, for fuck's sake, Paul, we don't need to hear this. Just can we
eat me.
fucking get to the point? The spice, however, wasn't as good as he hoped. The biscuit was good, but the spice wasn't quite there. A few of them had problems with the spice coming through. It was either too strong or not there. Dan, the butterflies looked amazing, but the cinnamon was overpowered by the fake apple.
Yeah, but I love the butterflies.
The butterflies looked really good. It looked great.
Yeah.
Ruby admitted that Paul was right about the heat, but as Paul said, the biscuit was good.
Yes.
Now, Rahul. He came up and Paul just went, it's beautiful. The sugar work was amazing. The flavour was beautiful. It was a fantastic biscuit. He said a little bit more on some of the icing, a little bit more care. But he said, you made 150 biscuits. That's kind of why you ran out of time. Karen, they said the biscuits look solid. And we're not talking about solid in they look a good biscuit. We're talking about thick. Solid.
Physically solid.
You could physically use them to damage somebody. That was how solid they were.
Yeah.
And her response was, we are quite chunky girls here at Pontefract. Which was really clever. Flavour combined actually tasted like ginger. It wasn't a ginger biscuit.
Nope.
The first one didn't taste like ginger. This one did.
Ginger.
There was no ginger. It was licorice.
I really feel bad tonight. Like, here I am calling these things ginger, but from what I understand, only a ginger can call another ginger.
I can do it. You can't. By the way, controversial statement on Karen's. I know it's controversial for some people on social media. I really like licorice. I'm a massive bandit for licorice.
Good.
I know it's a very divisive flavour.
It's all yours.
Yeah, like everyone was going,
do not need.
So you hate yuzu and you hate matcha, but you're good with licorice. Yes, is the answer to that.
Look, it's the only thing that spoilt my favourite woman's weekly birthday kids cake. Is that the black, the broom, the twigs were made out of licorice.
That's fine by me.
These days, I would use
licorice.
Fuck off, no. I would get something like chocolate covered pretzel sticks, or Pocky.
I'd use licorice.
For your witch cake, you can have licorice. For me.
Can we make a separate? We just make a separate witch cake for me to destroy.
It's just a great big licorice broom.
Yeah, like Homer, where you make a separate cake for Homer to destroy.
You can play licorice Quidditch.
Yeah, just the separate cake for Homer to take. Homer, that's your cake to destroy. It's mine. Bryony's. Now, the Bryony's judging is possibly the weirdest judging I've ever seen Paul Hollywood do. He went, the texture is unusual. I've never seen a texture do that before because it had crinkled.
It looked like when they put the crackle on top of the
tiger bread,
but on top of the profiteroles.
Yes, the crack. It's the crack. The crock. Yeah, the crack. Anyway,
crockadoodle-doo.
But then
crockle-dominant.
But then he followed up by saying that the flavour was unusual.
Well, it was turmeric.
But that was it.
Yeah.
He didn't say good. He didn't say bad. He didn't say he liked it. He didn't say he hated it. He just went...
He's neutral on it.
It's unusual. But he
Processing.
didn't give it away.
No.
It was weird.
He was not anti-Kalia.
Now, Kim Joy.
Not Kalia.
Not Kalia, Ketis.
Ketis.
It's a bit different.
I'd like to see Anthony Kalia.
He's not going to sing
the Red
that.
Hot Chili Peppers.
He's not going to sing anything by Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Give it away now.
Far too off. Yeah, far too off.
What I've got, I've got to give it, put it in you.
What I've got to give it to your mother.
What I've got to give it to your father.
It's been a very pop episode. Kim Joy, so we said everything was great on that. The piping was superb.
Awesome.
The flavour was excellent. Terry's, I said, did you finish? And Terry just went, no. Quite bland. The idea was good, but he took on far too much. Paul was being, as Terry said, he's been a bit of a gentleman there with his comments.
I reckon if you gave Terry a week to complete this, like nothing else to do, just create this, it would look spectacular.
It probably would. It's just a shame that's not the function of the show.
No.
And John got a bit messy, and the flavour was like a shortbread, and the flavour was okay. So they went back for the judging, and I think even though we only had Paul, we didn't have Prue to do it. I think
it was all pretty cut and paste.
I think the delay was simply so Paul could finish that cup of tea.
Yeah.
So your star baker for the week was Kim Joy.
Woo!
And
meow.
rightly so. Kim
meow,
Joy
meow, meow, meow,
dominated
meow,
that.
Meow, meow, meow,
Meow, meow, meow, meow, meow, meow. And going home was Terry, and I feel bad for Terry. And poor Terry, his interview at the end was just
heartbreaking.
So heartbreaking. But it was good to see that the show had given him something.
And I really hope that it's continued. Like I saw a picture of him on Twitter with I think it was Kim Joy.
It was Kim Joy and Karen.
On Karen?
Yeah.
And that gives me hope that, you know,
he's had a good time out of it. And he's a wonderful guy, and he looks like an awesome guy. He looks like an awesome guy.
Yeah.
So Terry the Tash 1, isn't it, on Twitter?
Yes.
Yes. Go follow Terry. He's awesome. And please tweet him. Tell him how amazing he is.
Yeah.
And Karen obviously went home as well, and that's been coming for a few weeks now.
I think it's good because, like, finally she can just go back to what she's
She needs to prepare for Christmas.
In, like, May.
No. Now.
Easter, Christmas.
She has to start preparing for Christmas this far out.
That's true.
Full
Valentine's Christmas.
Living in a gingerbread house.
It's just Love Actually all day.
Living in a fully functional gingerbread house is harder than you think. You have to start building early, and you have to rebuild every couple of months.
You have to kick off 2 children that have been abandoned in the local forest.
You know how hard it is to get those kids off your front door?
I know.
You know, forget people door knocking trying to sell you stuff. There's kids chomping on it.
Yeah, licking your sugar windows.
Nothing worse than someone licking your sugar window. Anyway, on that innuendo, we're going to leave it there for this week.
Yeah.
So next week,
yes,
pastry week.
Ooh, pastry.
You know what that means? Soggy bottoms.
Ahoy hoy.
Ahoy hoy indeed. So until next week, I'm still Chris.
And I'm still Kristie.
We will catch you all later.
Milking Maid's dangly bits.